Hey everybody, Wheelchair Gunfighter here. So this is going to be specifically a technique suggestions for counters from being thrown from the wheelchair. So in a previous video I mentioned that being thrown from the wheelchair is a stark reality for this kind of self-defense dynamic, and something that has to be practiced in a realistic setting to really encompass some of the realistic scenarios that someone that's in a wheelchair might face. So what I mentioned before, we'll just cover the two most common types tonight. The most common types of throws, evictions from the wheelchair, are someone coming up generally from the wheelchair user's left side, because most people are strong right-hand dominants. They want to use their right hand to do the throw. They'll come up on the left side of the left shoulder, kind of do some kind of two-handed grab on the arm or the head, usually kind of just jerking the arm, but two-handed grab on the shoulder area and a throw. They kind of roll them out of the chair and then proceed with their assault. And then the other one is kind of from the front. They'll come up with kind of a two-handed grab of some kind. They'll grab an arm or a shirt. In this case, for this demonstration, we'll do the shirt. But kind of a two-handed grab, and then they're rolling forward. Either way, it's kind of intuitive that the easiest way out of this chair is forward. There's no backing, no transfer of weight or anything like that. It's a pretty intuitive way that's the easy way to go. So that's the way people attack. And this is, go look up YouTube videos on security camera footage, people in wheelchairs and all this. I guarantee you'll find that what I'm saying is statistically the most likely thing to happen. So these are going to be my suggestions that I found work most of the time for a lot of different types of people. Doesn't matter your disposition. Some might require a little bit more athleticism and timing. You be the judge, try them out. They're relatively low impact, meaning that you're not beating yourself up trying to do these. So give them a shot in a controlled environment, and send me some comments. Let me know what you think. So this is how it's going to look. So we're going to start with the side attack, someone coming up from behind and doing the shoulder roll. So my partner's going to come up here, and he's going to attack from this kind of angle. So he's going to grab from the shoulder. Now what you're trying to do here is you're trying to skirt the arm down along your chair. Your arm is already down here. You're basically making a giant circle with your shoulder. So the hands come onto your shoulder, and you're basically brushing them off. Now what you'll find is that if you can time it with your opponent's throwing motion, you can get behind his arms and get his momentum to bring him right here. And you end up in kind of an arm lock situation. You don't want to leave it at an arm lock. At that point, you would most likely be breaking things, destroying his capacity to continue the attack, especially if there's multiple attackers. But you start knowing where that joint breaks by knowing how to lock it out and how to control it. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm here, and then I can have some kind of lock. So that same exact movement again, really slow. He comes up to grab the arm. I just rotate my shoulder, and he's right here. And then I can begin things like manipulating hand, fingers. I can lock out the elbow. But he's nice and trapped right here. You trapped, Will? So, and it just falls right there because of the structure of the chair. Kind of a variation of this. He comes up for the grab. I come up and I can do something like grab the hair or the back of the neck. I can begin forcing his head down into parts of the chair. So we have the armrest right here, the wheel. All of this is very hard and a lot harder than anything that's on his face. So on that note, some of my primary targets up here, I want to be targeting things that aren't necessarily trying to cause, say, something of an MMA type knockout or anything like that. I'm going to be targeting things that I know are either going to psychologically, systemically, meaning blood, air, or via his central nervous system. I am incapacitating him more or less, so mechanically, systemically, or psychologically. And if I can get multiple of those, or all of them in one shot, great. So some of these targets would be obviously brain trauma, if I'm bashing his head against something. The sudden go and stopping, the brain sloshing against the side of the skull, damage, right? Particularly to the frontal or occipital lobe, that's your motor functions and conscious or problem solving, right? So anywhere right here where that energy is going to transfer well. Not a great place to punch, but a great place to hit them with a tool or, say, bash their head into the wheelchair. Another primary target is the eyeball. You know, everyone harps on, everyone says groin strikes are great, but, you know, a groin strike to a male, you're talking about 60,000 nerve endings. I think there's 150,000 nerve endings in each eyeball. That might be both eyes. I could be wrong, but there's more nerve endings in your eye, and that goes for everybody than any other place in your body. There's a lot of psychological stuff involved with the eyeballs. You start attacking people's eyes, just about anybody's going to start freaking out, and even if they don't, you start affecting their ability to see, if nothing else. You're getting some good effects. Mechanically, any pressure applied to the eye is going to do this, and it's going to give me my third favorite target, which is in here. You start having like the thyroid cartilage, which, if crushed, is going to completely stop him from breathing. It's not as immediate as, say, you know, excessive head trauma, but it's going to have a good, it's going to have a very fast effect. So combine these, you know, eyeballs, that, and then I start messing with his head. I'm getting a lot. I'm getting systemic, I'm cutting off blood or air, depending on where I strike in the throat. I'm messing with his psyche a little bit, going after his eyes, and mechanically speaking, I'm shutting down his system when I'm attacking the computer, or if nothing else, messing with his spine to where he can't control his body. So, bear that in mind, that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to go after key functions. Mechanically also would be, you know, things like joints, like elbows, or, you know, if I can lock up his skeletal structure. So mechanical, systemic, or psychological, or all of the above. So one more variation of this. You can use parts of your chair to do some of these locking, you know, kind of these locking and breaking techniques. So he comes up for the grab, right? I can come here. I can use parts of my chair, like the armrest, to lock him into place. And there's no really getting out of this, is there, Will? There's nowhere for him to go at all. So if you can train to the point where you have the wherewithal of using your chair as a locking mechanism, it can be very effective. Now, all those are variations of the same thing. The basic thing is this. If you swing your arm and his momentum just takes him that way, you're at least in a whole lot better situation than him throwing you out of your chair. So even if you only get that, you have something. And if you carry other tools, as he's falling forward, which you should, being in a wheelchair, or, you know, whatever, then you have the opportunity to use those. So don't take it as a failure if he goes, you know, flying or whatever. But this is the basic technique. Just an arm circle, you're getting better, and that works on both sides. So if they come up on the opposite shoulder, practice on both sides. You never know which side the attack is going to come from. Now, the other most common attack is from the front. So you have this kind of two-handed grab and pull out of the chair. So the first one is kind of going to be this, you're not really blocking. I'm only going to move his hands out of the way enough to where they're no longer a threat. If I throw his arms out of the way, then we're both kind of spread eagle right here, and neither one of us has the advantage. If I get his hands off of me, his momentum is going to carry all the vital stuff that is up here. I didn't mention the collarbones, by the way. Very easy target to break, not a lot of force. So it's going to hinder the motion of the arm. Primary target. So brain trauma, eyes, throat, and collarbones, in that order of priority, in my opinion. So anyway, but that's going to bring all of that right here into my hands, so I can begin to manipulate it. So the first one, he comes up, it's just going to grab. I'm just going to push his hands out of the way enough to where he can start attacking key functions. Right? I'm just going to start attacking key functions. It's going to fall into my attack. If it falls right on top of me, I can use my hands to start manipulating key functions like the eyes and the throat. Another variation of this is you can kind of brush him to the side, kind of more of the, if you look back at my Getting Off the X video for wheelchairs, that camming motion, this is essentially what this is. I'm going to cam him sideways, and now, again, there's all kinds of stuff he can do, except now he's falling in my direction with his flank, which gives me a lot more and it gives him a lot less. Alright, so essentially the same principle, it's just I'm camming his body to get his flank. One more variation, so suppose these two kind of assume that you timed it to where you could keep his hands off of you. suppose his hands come on you, he does get the grab, or does get a good hold and starts to pull. I'm from the schools of thought that if energy is going this way, then you voluntarily go that way too, and utilize what you can, utilize that to your advantage. So this is kind of a suggestion in that line. So he actually gets hands on me, right? And all I'm doing, as he's doing this, as he pulls forward with the throw, I'm attacking the leg, and of my own power, I'm doing a crunch. I'm laying down forward. I'm grabbing as low as I can on his leg, maybe around the Achilles tendon. And the other arm is going to straighten out his leg and use that as a lever to push his body weight down. This could be all the way up at the hips, so kind of doing a hip. So whatever leg's closest, doing a hip bar, and a leg. And you're basically just using his whole leg as a lever to push him down. Now then you're on the ground, and if there's multiple opponents, you have a significant issue at this point. But you're in a lot better position than being face down on the ground with two guys on top of you. So, you know, part of me bringing up the point of being thrown from your chair is you want to develop ground skills as well. If it's kind of an inevitability, you need to have skills of being on the ground. So if you're already being thrown out of your chair, you have to make the most of it. There's other stuff too, coming up and grabbing from the side and ways to you could almost call them wheelchair suicide throws from the side, and we'll hopefully get to those at some point. I don't feel comfortable getting that information and having someone trying to do it off of video, so I'm very comfortable. I'm confident with these. Just about anybody can pick these up. Just for me describing them, people haven't had trouble using them. So try these out in a controlled environment, matted floors, training partner who's willing to grab on you and really pull and offer momentum to see where that energy goes on your movement. Try these things out and let me know how they work for you. My email is wheelchairgunfighter@gmail.com. I'd love your criticism and feedback on how well it works for you. The more people I know it works for, or the more you say you have a variation, that will help me pass the information to more people. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.